Do you think that other centre-left parties, including in countries like Israel and the United States, could have something to learn from how Labour got that victory, or how they responded to far
Yes,
left?
yes, I do. And Starmer did something which I, for one, have long argued, especially to Israel, actually, to the Israeli opposition. So if you look at why, or one of the reasons why Benjamin Netanyahu repeatedly wins elections, of which he's now won many in Israel. Just to remind you, a couple of years ago, there were about 5 elections in a row, and Netanyahu either won them or there were kind of ties, and therefore Netanyahu stayed in power. So we have to look at Israel. Israel, there are about 6 or 7 opposition parties, which, for all intents and purposes, have almost no difference in major policy. They're minor differences. And I'm sure people watching in Israel here know them, but remind people who are not watching in Israel, you have center-left parties, one led by Benny Gantz, one led by Yair Lapid, Yesh Atid it's called. You have the Labour Party in Israel, which is really also center-left. You have Meretz a bit more to the left. Then you have other parties which don't quite fit in with right or left, one led by Avigdor Lieberman, another by Gideon Saar, and you also have Naftali Bennett, and I could go on. So in other words, you have about 7, maybe even more, maybe these are just the parties that cross the threshold. Now in Britain or America, this would be one party. They would be the Democratic Party in the United States or the Labour Party in Britain. So what I've long said to these rival potential prime ministers and kings, and I know some of them personally. I know Benny Gantz, met him a few times, and I know some of the others. I mean, if you want to win an election, put aside your differences, form one party, have a manifesto. They haven't even heard of what a manifesto is. In Britain, you have a manifesto. You put down on paper what your likely policies for transport or education or healthcare or other matters will be. You have a so-called shadow cabinet. So if this was the case in Israel, you would have a vote in the party to see who would lead this opposition party. I'm not going to name the person, but let's say we don't know, I mean. And then the other people would be appointed to shadow cabinet positions. So if he wasn't the leader, Lapid would probably be shadow foreign minister, and Saar would probably be shadow justice minister, and Gantz would be shadow defense minister, and Lieberman might be shadow finance minister. He was already a fairly successful finance minister. And then they would have loyalty and discipline to the leader. And they, by splitting the vote and splitting resources to campaign against each other and fighting at the margins, they are not looking like a serious opposition. Now, I know many people in Israel dislike, to the point of absolute hatred towards Netanyahu and probably the Likud in general, but that is clearly not enough to win elections. And in fact, I think the middle ground in Israel despair when they see all these rival opposition parties, and in the end they kind of come home to Bibi, so to speak. So in the American case, I don't want to get into the rights and wrongs of Donald Trump. There is much to be said about Trump, but what I would say is, when he was standing in 2016, the first time round, and I was in New York that June, I think it was June 2015, the day that Trump declared his candidacy. He went down the escalator in Trump Tower. The media and everyone totally dismissed him. There were lots of other Republican candidates, Jeb Bush, Rubio, Senator Ted Cruz, and many other well-known candidates. And I had dinner that evening with a friend of mine who's on the editorial board of the New York Times. And he said, oh, well, clearly Trump's doing this for publicity, for tax reasons. He'll pull out. He's not serious. And I said, well, I wouldn't rule him out. And the New York Times guy said, Tom, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand politics. And I said, well, wait a second. Trump is raising issues in a very, very crude way. But nevertheless, they're issues that Hillary Clinton and the Democrats aren't raising. First and foremost, immigration. And everyone was saying, no, 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 no. Trump used the phrase Islamic terrorism that no one else, including Republicans, would use. At that time, Bush was still referring to Islam as a religion of peace. Now, maybe elements of Islam is a religion of peace, but let's say Islam is more complicated than just calling it a religion of peace. And Trump raised issues. And I said, if Hillary Clinton wants to beat Trump, what she needs to say is, I want to thank candidate Trump for putting issues on the agenda that we maybe haven't properly addressed, like illegal migration at the southern border. However, Trump's approach, his language and the like are totally inappropriate and wrong and unprecedented. And I want to put forward a more moderate, creative platform on this issue. Anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked too much on American politics. All I'm trying to say is that in Israel, so much is about attacking Netanyahu. In America, so much is about attacking Trump. What Starmer did is he didn't spend day and night demonizing conservative leaders. He could have demonized Brexit or Nigel Farage or Boris Johnson. Of course, there were criticisms of all those three, but Starmer put forward a positive vision based on moderation and unity. And it would be my strong advice to the Israeli opposition in an Israeli context, because of course Israel is a different system, a different culture, but nevertheless in the Israeli system to do something similar. And in the United States, and of course we don't know how the American election will go, but if Trump wins this November, I would say that one of the reasons he will win, and he's still ahead in the polls, is the Democratic Party have spent so much energy going after Trump on all the reasons from Kingdom Come why you shouldn't vote for Trump, not just in terms of attacking him in debate on TV, but legally and so on. What they haven't done is have a proper contest for who will be the best Democratic candidate. They anointed Joe Biden, even though clearly at this age, he wasn't necessarily their best candidate, or at least they should have had an open primary back in December. And if Biden had been the best candidate, he would have won. And now they're repeating it with Kamala Harris. They're kind of anointing her, even though when she did stand for office, she didn't even hit the Iowa primaries. And again, this is the equivalent of in Israel, Benny Gantz and Lapid not having primaries, and also Lapid. None of these parties have primaries. Gantz is the head of his party, and he chooses his list. Also Lieberman, also Saar, also Lapid. They're all heads of their party. So what they could learn from Britain is unite the party, have a shadow cabinet, have an election, as Starmer had, to be the leader. He wasn't just appointed by some party elders like Biden or Kamala Harris have been, and have moderate positive policies that will resonate with enough people to get elected.